You're telling me that he's actually trying to talk Alex Pereira out of coming down to 85 right here? He's like, no, I don't. I'd rather fight Sean Strickland, and but this is his way of talking Alex Pereira out of coming down to 85. That's what you're telling me?
I felt the power. If Izzy stiffens you like that, you do not want to be in there with me, especially not when you're going to come in there with the excuses, no, I cut too much weight. That's going to happen. Everybody's going to say that. So stay at 205, fight your fight against the number 7 ranked guy.
Number 8.
Oh, number 8. Okay, cool. Well, fight.
See? You telling me he's not trying to bait him? He's not trying to bait him right there? Have you guys ever heard of that? A judge getting fired on the spot after turning in a scorecard and then getting pulled from the card right then? They're supposed to work the co-main event, and they're like, nah, you're done, dude. Have you ever heard of that happening? I've never heard of that happening. That guy must have been dirty, son. Well, quite the eventful night last night, wasn't it, you guys? Dricus Du Plessis cements himself at the top of the middleweight division, in addition to some other notable outcomes during the UFC 305 fight card that we're going to talk about. And a big thing happened last night. I've literally never heard of this happening before. One of the judges, after turning in their scorecard for one of the main event bouts, their card was investigated and they got pulled from the rest of the show. Like, pulled. Their card, they're like, you're corrupt. You're either so corrupt or incompetent that you are not going to finish the job tonight. And they put some replacement judge in for them. So that is a story that we're going to talk about. We'll probably actually lead off right there. And then obviously we're going to talk about Dricus defeating Israel Adesanya in heroic fashion. Very, very impressive night from Dricus. I thought Izzy looked good too, man. I thought Izzy looked really good. I thought, I think Izzy has one choice to make. One. It's an obvious one, I think, but maybe not. I will be very curious to hear what you guys think in the comments, because I think he needs to go to 205. But again, that is solely because of who is atop the division right now, and that fight is there. But there's a lot of nightmarish matchups at 205 for Izzy, like outside of that one. But with Pereira holding the belt, that just seems like a no-brainer. Give him a tune-up fight. Get him Pereira. But the funny thing here, though, that we're going to talk about also is Dricus and Strickland, and Strickland coming to South Africa. And Dricus made some comments here in the post-fight that were priceless about Strickland coming to South Africa, dude. So we'll talk about that. He also, Alex Pereira said he wants to drop to 85 to fight against Dricus, and Dricus advised him heavily against it. Right? Like, he's all, don't come to 185. And he has this whole talk track for why he doesn't want Pereira to come to 85. But you just have to ask yourself, you're like, all right, so does this guy really mean that you don't want Pereira to come to 85? How come? He's like, well, because I don't want people to have excuses. You're all, okay. He's all, I'll go to 205. You're like, all right, are you sure? Like, yeah, sure, that's why you don't want him to go down to 85, because he's pretty scary. He's a pretty scary dude, man. What if, like, after the fight, Dricus and Pereira fight, and then after the fight, Dricus does, like, an expose on TikTok? He's all, I was in the octagon, and I didn't want it, but he stuck his fingers in me, and I didn't like it. Yikes. Too soon? Too soon? Maybe. But anyway, if you respect the fact that I'll just throw that joke out there, then you can subscribe to this channel. Okay, subscribe to the channel, and you can ring the bell so you know when things happen where I upload and whatnot. And then you can also like the video if you want to. Now, I am going to also point you guys in the direction of my second channel, Play with Matches, that I do with Gabrielle. And I'll tell you why I'm going to direct you there right now is because the next video that we're doing is where I'm going to tell you guys a story about a massive fight that happened at Tao on Thursday night in Vegas. The reason it's a notable story is because of what was going on at Tao that night, because it was Shunji's ADCC Hall of Fame celebration at Tao. That's why everybody was there. Well, that's why all of us were there. And so a dude punched one of the most dangerous human beings in the history of the world. It's just a hilarious story. I don't know. There's not, to me, there's nothing funnier than when regular folks get all heated and they're standing next to actual killers and they have no idea, you know? They're like, what's up, dude? And like in this case, guy punched the wrong guy. And he ended up unconscious. So, you know, that's the gist. So I'm going to tell that story. That video is going to come out, I don't know, soon. But yeah, ADCC is actually about to start today, so I got to rock and roll on this video. And I changed my mind. We're going to do the judging scandal after the main event. Okay, so here is the main event, and we're going to talk about that. And I think it's important to notate that Izzy looked like he was in the best shape of his career. He looked really good, dude. He looked really good. God, you know, at the beginning of the fight, I was really just trying to kind of like, all right, so how does this feel like it's playing out? And the thing that I realized about Dricus is like, I never feel like I believe that he is going to get hurt. Do you know what I mean? Like, that guy is a piece of granite. I didn't really put that together until last night because Izzy landed some really like solid, good shots, like that front kick to his solar plex, that teep that he kept throwing, like right into his solar plex, you know, through like the first, I don't know, whatever, few rounds. And like, I mean, that was landing stiff. And Dricus still is like, even when he's hurt, he's not hurt. You know? Like, he doesn't have a beautiful surgical style. But at the end of the day, mixed martial arts, you don't have to be the best wrestler. You don't have to be the best striker. You don't have to be the best jiu-jitsu. It's how you put it all together. And Dricus has a melting pot of skills and confidence that is very, very challenging for people to deal with, obviously. Obviously. He put out he finished Robert Whittaker. He finished Israel Adesanya. He's the first guy, aside from Alex Pereira, who touched Sean, you know, one time really, really heavy and knocked him out. Like, he consistently was touching Sean. And Sean's defense is impeccable. Like, the guy is really good, dude. Really good. And I really liked how he handled the post-fight, too. Now, obviously, the big conversation the day after the fights is like, what's next for everybody? And I think Dricus did a great job getting me fired up for what he's got coming next, because the two options for him are Alex Pereira coming down to 85 or Sean Strickland. And what he said about Strickland, I'm like, give me that fight, dude. And I think he might have been baiting Pereira with the way that he told him not to come to 85. Like, now that you know how this guy plays chess when he's trash talking, when you actually watch what he said in response to Alex Pereira's saying he was going to come to 85, it's easy to read it where it sounds like he's kind of scared of Pereira coming down, and you can also completely read it the other way, dude. You can read it the exact opposite way, where he's actually trying to bait Pereira into coming down to 85. Like, you have to entertain that with Dricus now. Like, that's that's like the level of 40 chess psychological warfare this guy is operating at. But first, check this out. Okay, so this is what they asked him about Strickland coming to South Africa. And then I'll show you what he said about Alex Pereira, and I think he was trying to bait him, actually.
If you do get your South Africa event, as Dana White said would happen after this, and as Sean, he kind of tweeted out something like, I don't know if it's a good idea to bring me to South Africa. Some of the things he might say, is that maybe a concern around that fight if him come in there? I
actually saw something like that, but I mean, my man, we can see Sean Strickland. South Africa, it's different. It's different. We saw that tonight. I said, it's the jungle out there. Sean Strickland, the way he does things, yeah, I hope he makes it to the fight.
At the press conference, I asked you.
So, like, I mean, I assume what we're talking about is that Strickland likes to break balls. You know, like, he goes out there and in the press conferences, he'll talk. Well, honestly, what Strickland does is he actually tries to go galvanize the crowd for him. And galvanize the crowd against the person who is like the local hero. That's not going to work with Dricus, dude. That is 100% not going to work with Dricus. I'm actually very curious to see how Sean handles that. Honestly, if you really think about it, Sean is a superstar, and he's in for a very specific reason. As much as, you know, he comes off like the controversial guy that, you know, you would think a lot of people don't like, but in reality, that's not how it is. People love him, dude. Like, people love him. He goes to Canada and he's like, I'm here for you. He gets the entire Canadian crowd cheering for him. You know what I mean? is like he has a very endearing way about him, but he absolutely intentionally galvanizes the crowd. In South Africa, that is not going to work. They are not going to be on his side. They are going to boo him. They're good. Like there's nothing he can say that's going to change it. I don't think, like Dricus in South Africa is an enigma. I guarantee. I have a buddy named his name's actually Rickus. he's from South Africa, and he's another savage dude. But he's from South Africa, and he loves Dricus, dude. Obviously, but in South Africa, Dricus is the man. It'll be really funny to see how Sean handles that, though, in my opinion. But about the fight too, just before I go and show you the Pereira stuff, it's like, again, Dricus is like he's a tough motherfucker, man, and it feels to me like he's playing this warfare game with opponents all the time, The way that he interacts with them at the press conferences, obviously. He makes it seem like it's all nonchalant, but it's not. It's really not. He is playing serious psychological games with them. If you guys do not follow Mixed Molly Wapari's channel, you have to go watch the one that he just did about Dricus and Izzy, because he lays out what Dricus said and how he was completely setting traps for Izzy the entire time that Izzy just walked into. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Like I really thought when I was saying Dricus never made it about race, Dricus never did it. I said that passionately, and then I watched Mixed Molly's video, and I was like, damn, he played this so masterfully that I didn't even really see what he was doing. But he's right. Like he's right about exactly what he was doing. He's very, very, very sharp, dude. And I mean, you could tell. But again, in his entire demeanor is he just doesn't give a shit. Like if a person doesn't care, then there's no, like, what are you going to do? Like you can't attack a person directly if they just don't give a shit. You know what I mean? It's like you got to figure out another way to attack them. Like, because no matter what anyone says to him, he's just like, I don't care. I did an entire video about how, Sean said he's gay. I did a video joking around. Like, obviously the conclusion is that he's not actually gay, but he never even responded to any of it. He's just like, there was like a bunch of stuff all over social media that he's gay. And he's like, oh, I don't care. He's like, I don't care. I don't care about anything. You guys say whatever you want. It's like he really approaches the public side of this like it's what he has to do as a warrior. You know what I mean? So let me pull up what he said about Alex Pereira now, though, because that is very notable. Now, you guys tell me how he answers this. Is he baiting Pereira, or is he actually concerned about fighting Pereira? Because as I watch this again, I think he's baiting him, dude.
He was sitting in front of you getting the belt tonight. So I guess, what do you want next for your career?
Yeah, what I want next is whatever they give me. I have to be honest there. I honestly don't think Alex Pereira should drop down to 185. If he wants to, great, perfect. But then we're going to hear the excuses. I saw we saw Izzy stiff that man in the first round. I felt Izzy's punching power tonight. If that, Izzy has great timing. He's fast, he's long, and he has great combinations. But I felt the power. If Izzy stiffens you like that, you do not want to be in there with me, especially not when you're going to come in there with the excuses, no, I cut too much weight. That's going to happen. Everybody's going to say that. So stay at 205, fight your fight against the number 7 rank.
See? He's baiting him. He's baiting Pereira to come down to 85, right? Now let's finish what he says here, but.
Guy?
Number 8.
Oh, number 8. Okay, cool. Well, I mean.
Oh, God, I'm sorry.
Hang on,
that was really important what he said.
Your fight against the number 7 ranked guy.
Number 8.
Oh, number 8. Okay, cool. Well, I mean, fight your fight there and enjoy it. If Strickland's the next fight, the people want to see that fight. That's the fight that people want to see, and that's the fight right now that people think is the next best guy. Then it's the fight that I want. So let me handle my business, you handle your business. You don't have to cut the weight so you have some sort of excuse. I'll come up after the Strickland fight. I'll come up to 205 and we'll sort it out there.
I mean, let me just say this. Alex Pereira was the champion at 85. He never missed weight. If he says he can make 85, then, I mean, just because Izzy starched him, like the idea that Izzy doesn't have the power to starch a guy, he hit him straight on the temple, dude. Like, you know, it's not the power. I've always said this. It's like the genuine starched out knockout shots don't come because a guy has nuclear power. Like Josh Emmett against Bryce Mitchell, right? Like that is where power, full throttle power meets, you know, like a guy who didn't see it coming. But it's the didn't see it coming part that puts a guy out, you know? Like Izzy baited Pereira in and he caught him with the temple shot and then he hit him on the way down starched. Like it's the having tremendous power is like you have to be able to hit Pereira in a way where he did not see it coming. That's what you need to do if you want to knock him out. The power is not a real factor, but I don't think that matters anyway because I think he's trying to bait him into coming down, you know, at least that's how it sounds to me. Because the UFC, I'm telling you right now, the UFC, and I don't think UFC is going to do that either. I actually just don't think UFC will make that fight because again, I've said this a million times and I will reiterate this. There is a very simple methodology for when a person fights, like gets a double belt shot. And in every single case, there will always be one person in that equation that's in the second belt fight that is not a marketable star. Okay. They don't ever let someone go up a weight class to fight against a super marketable, superstar for a second belt. They do not do that. Every single time, if it's a two belts are on the line, one of the guys is like, like guy's a great fighter. We can't do anything with him. Every single time. Because if you think that the UFC does not like care who has the belt, then you don't understand this business at all, you know? But anyway, I'm excited to watch him fight both of them. I would love to see him try his mind games on Pereira though. Hey, something tells me that Alex Pereira is not going to cry in the press conference against Dricus. I think his string of making people cry is going to end when he fights Poatan. Would be my hypothesis there. Now let's watch this little sequence, then I want to talk about what Izzy should do next. See, this is the thing with Izzy though, right? This is the thing with Izzy is I know that his brain and how he approaches these fights is he's the main character of a movie, right? Like he's the main character of a movie. He knows, like he understands the arc of a professional fighter. He understands the movie. And like right this second, it's insane to think about this, that at UFC 287, what is it? It's 305. This is not very long ago, dude. He was at the absolute pinnacle of the sport, like the king of the world. I was there. King of the world. He's like, I wish everyone could feel this happy at some point in their life. And then you fast forward just this amount of time, and now he's lost 2 in a row to 2 middleweights in his division, and he's left with not a lot of options. Because again, a guy who's been a dominant champion like this, he can't just be like some guy who just keeps like fights and fights. At least not, traditionally. And, the idea that he couldn't go on a run and get back to the title, I mean, of course he can. But that's a tough, like, you're going to have to switch the narrative of the story that you tell yourself. Because here's this, like, watch how he says until I see him, like, until we see each other again. It's different, dude. Like, this is different. The way that he says it before, like, next time I see him or yada, yada, or the way he talked about the Pereira trilogy, any of that stuff, it's different. The way he says this is a different chapter for Izzy, and he knows it.
Yeah. Till we meet again.
See?
Kia ora, Izzy.
See? It's, I think what Izzy needs is he needs assuming that he still, wants to do this. I mean, he's got plenty of money, but if he still wants to do this, I think what he needs to do is set a new, very lofty goal at, God, man, I really think he should go to light heavyweight to try to get, just to try to do that Pereira fight. But you can't give him an immediate title shot at 205 because he's lost 2 in a row at middleweight. So you got to give him a warm-up fight at 205. I think you try to give him a super favorable matchup at 205. Let him get that in the bag because there's no real, like, I mean, aside from Ankalaev, but Dana's not going to have any problem fucking over Ankalaev. I think you get him a win at 205, a striker, someone that he'll beat, and then you set up the Pereira trilogy at 205. That is what I think they should do with him. It's just, I mean, what else is he going to do? Do he drop down the ladder and go try to win 3 fights to get back to the title at middleweight? You know, that's not Izzy, dude. He needs big stakes, big money, you know, big story. All right, let's move along. Let's actually start with the scandal on the judge. All right. So let's watch this really quick. Everybody, let's get on the same page. Check this out.
For the winner by split decision, Yazanya Biggie Boy Rosenstein.
Yeah. So as you guys can see, the issue was someone scoring it 30-27 for Tai Tuivasa. Now, is there anything notable about that particular factoid? Like where this fight is happening? You know, it's not like this. It's not like it's just like the shadiest scorecard ever. It's also that it's happening like in his backyard. You know what I mean? Like it's happening in his backyard. So there's that. He could have made it 29-28, not made it so obvious. You know what I mean? Bam. Look at that. There it is. Howie Booth, who had Tuivasa winning 3-0, was scheduled to work the co-main event between Kara France and Ursig, but I have been told he has been pulled from the bout. He's done for the night. Have you guys ever heard of that happening? Because I definitely have not ever heard of that happening. Like, that's wild. That is wild. They pulled him. I mean, like, think of some of the scorecards that we've seen in some of these events. Horrendous. Indefensible, right? The worst one that I've ever seen that I could think of off the top of my head in like a big fight was Chito Vera being given the nod over Corey Sandhagen in the San Antonio event. That was like, what? But at least in that case, it was the main event, and so there weren't any more fights that a person who would turn that scorecard in could have worked either way. But this is a big deal right here. If they pulled him, I bet you he's going to get investigated. And like, I don't know what the law, you know, what law kind of governs this kind of thing when you're over there. But in the United States, if you do a dirty card, dude, a lot of betting, you go to jail. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so that's the story. Notable, obviously.